When you think of the best boxers in the UFC, which names come to mind? Dustin Poirier?
Oh! Knockout from Poirier!
Ilia Topuria? Or perhaps even Sean Strickland?
A huge right-hander for Sean Strickland!
Well, one Max Holloway may have something to say about that.
The best boxer you see, baby! Right hand!
Hawaii's very own continues to chart his course as one of the sport's most lethal competitors. And over 10 years into his UFC tenure, the Blessed Express isn't slowing down anytime soon. This is how Max Holloway became the baddest man alive. Like many of combat sport's greatest athletes, Max's upbringing was rife with turmoil. And whilst fighting does not discriminate, to come from nothing can often provide the innate drive and hunger that few possess, a chance for a better life.
My mom and my dad, I knew they were heavy drug users, and then my dad would always beat up my mom.
You know, I wanted to show my son that what it had to be to have a father and a mother, you know, because I really didn't have both of them.
Fighting was a path out of Honolulu's poverty-stricken streets, and one Max would take at the soonest opportunity. Driven by his father's absence and mother's addictions, Max's motivations were clear. And whether it was through raw intuition of his coaches or perhaps blind faith, Max's first outing in the sport would be at the shortest notice.
I only trained for 3 days. The coach told us, Max, someone dropped out. You want to fight? On Saturday? You got to weigh 135. I was like, bet. Thursday, Friday win, Saturday fight. Ended up winning. I was just hooked, bro. That was
You've only been training for like a week at this point.
Yeah, 3 days with him.
His striking pedigree for such little experience had him quickly picked up by the UFC's radar. By late 2011, a contract with the Ultimate Fighting Championship would be signed. The early form of the Blessed Express was one undeniably raw amongst a sea of experienced players. At just 20 years of age, with 4 professional fights and being the youngest man on the roster, he was a kid no longer with a chip on his shoulder, rather the undying drive to be the very best. And if that meant slaying the great Jose Aldo in combat was the final step, then he had a long road to go.
I'm probably gonna, I told him, I'm gonna beat Jose Aldo. I'm gonna be the champ. I was like, these guys they're not gonna touch me. And then when it actually happened, he finally told me, he's like, yeah, Max, I was never gonna tell you, but I thought you was fucking insane when he was talking like that.
But his first step in the octagon would be a backwards one. A loss to an all-formidable mainstay and future Hall of Famer Dustin Poirier, out-grappled and outgunned inside the first round. His innate ability to plant fist onto chin was there, yes, but MMA is of course made up of so much more, and Max had a lot to learn. It was a loss that wouldn't haunt him, but one that into the far future, he would have an opportunity to get back. A mixed bag of results through 2012 would follow, reflecting once more his lack of experience. For a lesser competitor, and one with less potential, it could be enough to leave the company unceremoniously. But Holloway's ceiling and charisma had him matched up with none other than the surging notorious Conor McGregor, who was fresh off an explosive debut win.
You know, there's 2 things I really like to do, and that's whoop ass and look good, and I'm doing one of them right now. On Saturday night, I'm gonna do the other.
The lack of animosity spoke volumes. Despite McGregor's showman antics and villainous persona that would become a staple, even he couldn't do anything other than respect the man opposing him. And on his legendary run, I'm not sure anyone could stop the Irishman's ascendancy. Experience had won that night, as McGregor edged the decision win. And that result spoke volumes too. As dangerous of a striker Conor was, he could not put away the Hawaiian native.
I come out to finish every time, you know what I mean? And Max is tough. I wanted some exchanges with Max, you know what I mean? And it feels like I'm dealing with a loss at the minute, you know, so.
But whilst McGregor's legendary rise would continue, Holloway needed to bounce back, and in a big way. And whether it was a mindset shift, a change in the gym, or perhaps both, Max would embark on a run the likes of which we have never seen before.
Max Holloway! He did it! It's all over! Collar taking huge shots here. He's out! He's out! Max Holloway! Max Holloway! Max Holloway! Max Blessed Holloway!
Ooh, good combination there by Max.
Wow! It looks like they're going to swing to the very end.
And he wasn't kidding. Wow! It's very rare.
What a finish!
That you see an agreement like that.
Holloway, in just 2 years, had gone from perennial contender to bona fide superstar, recording 9 straight wins with a devastating resolve. With fists nigh unrivaled, the Blessed Express was moving full steam ahead. Others have done so with less fanfare, yes, but Max's charisma inside and out of the cage raised the bar. A man who lived for the thrill of the fight, and outside of it, spoke with an air of authenticity.
I told you guys. I told you, all these guys like cupcakes to me. I want the new flavor, but if I get something else, an older flavor, I don't care. I like them all.
As Holloway found his groove, so too had his old foe, who had now toppled the decade-long streak of the legendary Jose Aldo, before making history at lightweight to become a two-weight champion. But in doing so, the belts were held hostage. Whilst Dana and the rest of the fighting world remained captivated by the Irishman, Holloway and the contenders around him remained in wait to chart legacies of their own. After a long wait, by 2016, the belts would be relinquished, and at a historic UFC 200, none other than the King of Rio himself would claim it right back. And for Max, a shot at the belt was rightfully granted, albeit interim, against the former king in Anthony. Two diverse strikers going head-to-head for 10.5 pounds of gold. In many people's eyes, it was a passing of the torch. Old gen versus new.
The pride of Waianae, Hawaii. A win tonight sets him up for a shot at the undisputed featherweight championship of the world. Wow. Oh, big shot. Good body. Yep. Pettis is in trouble. Holloway's cornered out. It's all over. Max Holloway. What a performance by Max Holloway. And now, the interim UFC featherweight champion of the world.
A belt around his waist, yes. An accolade many can only dream of. But to the fans, and likely deep within Max's psyche, a question mark remained. He was a man chasing the ultimate goal, and such a matchup against the Brazilian was one years in the making. A bout that meant more than just unifying his title. A win would mean the top of the mountain in his fighting career, achieving a goal he had set since the very first time he put the gloves on. And at UFC 212, his wish would be granted.
And hard to see a lot of glaring weaknesses when you break down the film on Max Holloway, right?
You're seeing the style differences too. Aldo much more set.
Oh! Holloway got two punches! Jose Aldo follows up! Some early adversity here for the challenger.
Max is landing more effectively now. He's getting the timing of Aldo.
Oh! UFC 212 post-fight show. Oh! Max Holloway knocks down Jose Aldo!
Aldo's hurt badly.
That'll do it! Max Holloway! Max Holloway has come to Rio de Janeiro and finished the greatest featherweight of all time. The undisputed champion of the world!
You know, like I said before, Aldo's a GOAT, man. He was a GOAT and he had a reign, and I wanted everything. And I wanted everything that he had, you know, and I came here and did it. Nobody
The
wanted
Blessed
to fight
Express had reached its next stop, and the most significant one yet. No more doubts, Max now sat undisputed atop the featherweight throne. In the wake of McGregor's absence, swirling rumors of his return would be constant, but it was a division he wouldn't ever step foot onto again, leaving Aldo to rematch Max for one last dance. But by late 2017, on short notice and 6 months after their initial duel, it was out with the old and in with the new once more. A dominating performance from the opening bell to the end of the third.
How are you feeling? Is it setting in? You've defeated Jose Aldo yet again.
You know, I like saying I'm joking around over here. I beat him back to back. But at the end of the day, he stood the GOAT. I got numbers to catch. He got a defense number. I want to beat it. I want to beat that defense number. Then we can start talking about me being the greatest.
The best is blessed, and the train wasn't slowing down anytime soon. It's one thing to win the title and reach the summit. For many a fighter, to go one step beyond the impossible was a tall order, and that's what separates the good from the great. Holloway was a man aiming for the latter, to go down in the pantheon of legends. And to get closer to that goal, fierce BJJ ace Brian Ortega would be in his way. His rise mirrored that of Max's in many ways, and perhaps even exceeded it. A young, hungry kid, but one undefeated, 14-0. Finishing all of his 6 UFC bouts via finish, T-City represented the new breed. A man with the looks and charm, who in the words of Chael Sonnen, ready to do a lot of harm. Spearheaded by the Gracie family as a jiu-jitsu prodigy, he looked to be a unique challenge Max had yet been able to overcome. But as always remains a constant truth in this game, the only answer to those questions is with a duel over 25 minutes on the grandest of stages.
T-City Ortega! The pride of Hawaii, Max Bless Holloway!
So fair from Holloway.
keeping his volume up, though. When he throws, he's throwing 2, 3 at a time.
I'm not sure what Max was telling me. It was pointing to the ground. He said he's going to end it.
Oh, he's hurt. He's trying to clinch. Holloway trying to get enough separation to close the show. 20 minutes down, a massive bull run for Max Holloway.
That might be it. That's it. That's it.
Max Holloway.
And still the undisputed
Domination. Holloway had made the challenger look like the green prospect he once was, only now laying down the law as a man, a champion. Amidst lightweight pastures, McGregor's tenure had been and gone, and Khabib Nurmagomedov was now the lightweight ruler. But their bout's fiery conclusion ensured he wouldn't be defending anytime soon, leaving a chance at interim gold once more for Holloway. Daring to be great, following in the footsteps of the notorious before him, Max had a chance to make history, and his dance partner was an old foe.
Holloway competing in the division in which many people actually believe he will do his best work going forward. Dustin Poirier in the blue trunk. Max Holloway is in the black and gold, befitting a champion. Oh! Massive right from Poirier! Holloway's volume now.
Oh, hit right in! Poirier with big power!
Oh, Holloway busted wide open, Joe.
wide open. What a fight. Dustin the Diamond Boy!
He may have come up short, but that legacy-defining decision to step up a weight class and be one half of a war summarizes what makes Max, well, Max. Returning back to his kingdom at 145, another defense of the belt against Frankie Edgar was practically elementary. And with now 3 defenses tallied, talks of Holloway being the greatest the division had ever seen were in full flow. He had surpassed his once adversaries, charting a legacy that most could only dream of. But when you're at the top of this game, hungry up-and-comers will always be nipping at your heels, eager to claim the belt you hold. And in that regard, one man stood on the Blessed Express's tracks, an adversary who would go on to haunt him for years to come.
Alexander the Great
And still the best featherweight in the world. Make it 21 in a row.
To the layman, Holloway's victory was a foregone conclusion. At this time, Alexander the Great was yet to reach global renown, and in the eyes of casuals, perceived as a sacrificial lamb for the Hawaiian-born. But once the two touched gloves, in a matter of moments, that dynamic had shifted to the greatest of degrees.
The winner by unanimous decision and new undisputed UFC featherweight champion of the world.
Another setback, only this time everything he had strived for now stripped away. As is customary in the fight game, esteemed champions are given their chance of redemption, just as Alot did against Max himself. And naturally the rematch would be penned in at Fight Island, to an empty crowd in which every strike could be heard. It was a scrap even closer than the first, a one that was left in the hands of the judges. The age-old adage of never leaving it to the scorecards couldn't be closer to the truth. The moment that final bell sounds, the bout is no longer in your hands, rather fate itself. And it was destiny, cruel or not, that would have Holloway on the losing end that night. Now 2 bouts down, even with his notoriety, another shot could not be granted in good faith. Thus, work had to be done. Time moves quickly in this sport. Just as soon as you're on top, in the blink of an eye, it can all come crashing down. But for those special few, leaving the sport with nothing but a whimper is not on the cards. And Holloway's record-setting performance against the fearsome Calvin Kattar was a reminder of that.
Live from the Anaheim Arena on Fight Island, it's time!
Deep breath, folks. The tension of a UFC main event, but there is just no time to rest when you're fighting this guy. Double-digit combinations.
Now Calvin Kattar just landed a nice right hand up the middle there just a second ago. Oh my goodness, look at the cut on Calvin Kattar's forehead.
We're going to see him go down if he lands another one of those shots.
Calvin Kattar seems pretty sound of mind despite all the damage absorbed, but he will need a finish if he is going to move into this division's top 2.
Like, I was like, he was gone at the end of the round. I was like, oh, this guy not walking off for the 5th round. There's no way.
He's even listening to the commentary team.
The best belt in UFC, baby! Oh! Right hand! Cuts Holloway there.
Oh my
He
goodness.
landed a no-look right hand. Max blessed Holloway with a monumental effort.
What a performance by Max Holloway.
Holloway! Holloway.
445 significant strikes, a record that won't ever be broken. This wasn't just a win, it was a statement of intent. Holloway was coming for the throne, to sit back atop the division he once ruled. Another win over the striking artisan Yair Rodriguez would follow suit, leading all roads to his trilogy against Volkanovski at UFC 276. He made himself undeniable, forcing the Australian's hand to face his old foe for one last time. But before his opportunity to claim the belt, there was one award yet to receive. One not granted through actions inside the octagon, rather those out of it. The assumption of fighters being bloodthirsty and barbaric was a reputation worked long and hard to dissipate by the top brass, and Max was a shining example of what a true champion should represent. Someone who gives back and helps those in need. For Max, his home state of Hawaii was the first port of call.
This award isn't for me, it's for what I can do with it. And I can't do much without a team. So I'd like to send a special thank you to the guys on the ground doing the work. Food Bank of Hawaii, Boys and Girls Club Hawaii, the U.S. military, and I also would like to thank Dana White, Forrest Griffin, and Brian Smith. And I think they all agree with me when I say that this isn't a Lifetime Achievement Award. This is a Lifetime Responsibility Award, and I am honored to have this responsibility.
Through a bloody and bruised decade in the UFC, Holloway had entered a boy and grown into a shining example of a man. His trilogy against Volkanovski at this point was hardly about the belt anymore. It was about facing up to old demons, conquering them in a dominant fashion.
I am the fucking heat, brother. I am the 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 heat, brother. You're about to see, brother. I am the heat, brother. I am the heat, brother.
He stung him with that left hand and a right. Oh! Nasty right hand.
Yep, slip and rip with the right hand for Volkanovski. Coming up on a minute to go, round 3.
Man, that is a nasty cut.
Really nasty. Well, Max Holloway was game as hell, but the champion Alexander Volkanovski with a signature performance tonight.
For the winner by unanimous decision, and still Volkanovski.
Domination simply doesn't do Alex's performance justice, and with 3 losses to the same adversary, you may argue there's no coming back. But MMA fans are fickle, and a man of Max's caliber had other ideas. He may be a veteran by the UFC standards, 10 years in the company is far greater than most, but at just 30 years of age, he had plenty left to give. Even if it wasn't for featherweight gold, his legacy meant even the most casual of fans would likely tune in regardless. An impressive win over the surging Arnold Allen proved he still had it, whilst the dominant send-off over the Korean Zombie was a harsh reminder of the fight game's cycle, as well as Max's knockout power. And just in time for historic UFC 300, he would be granted the opportunity to face down demons of a different kind, those that came in lightweight form. An opportunity for victory, this time up a weight class and against one of the hardest hitters the sport has ever seen. Enter center stage, the human highlight, Justin Gaethje.
Gaethje fans being heard from now, about a minute gone by round 2. Justin Gaethje head kicks Dustin Poirier into the stratosphere and wins the BMF belt.
Oh my goodness.
Potentially the man who could break Holloway's unbreakable chin, Justin was now the owner of the baddest mother effer title. A novelty strap in many ways, but one most fitting. And spiritually, it was an accolade Holloway already owned. So few can stay at the top level for as long as he has, still continue to fight elite competition all the same. And on quite literally the biggest stage of the last 10 years, in front of thousands, UFC 300 on the 13th of April 2024, Max would cement his legacy with arguably the most incredible moment the sport has ever witnessed.
Holloway shows some mortality.
Look at this. Holloway just told him, stand right here.
Oh, big connection late. That'll do it with 1 second to go. Gaethje face first on the canvas. Max Holloway wins the BMF title.
Statement made. With the newly crowned featherweight champion El Matador Ilia Topuria waiting cage side, a matchup between the two is simply undeniable. With plenty of steam left in the Blessed Express, I'd wager Holloway has a very good chance.